I think that the brand The Row is a cult.
You hired lines?
They got here at 3:45 a.m.
People were hoarding so much stuff that it just was kind of a mess.
This blazer's $3,000 and I got it for 75% off.
I just wanted to show you what I got at the Row Sample Sale. I mean, how thoughtfully designed is this?
Imagine camping overnight in New York City in tents just to get into a fashion sample sale. That's exactly what happened at the Row's latest event. This season, the brand known for its quiet luxury aesthetic opened its doors to something far louder, with crowds, chaos, and headlines to match. Discounts reached up to 75%, but the real story was the spectacle. People hiring line sitters, chairs and sleeping bags lining the sidewalks, and influencers storming TikTok with their hauls. From luxury coats and timeless tailoring to coveted bags, the sale turned into a full-on event. So today we're going to deep dive into how it all played out, what the deals were, and whether the hype was worth it. Hi babes, my name's Taja, mother of twins, lover of luxe things, and your guide for showing up with style and intention. At the end of October, the Row held a sample sale in New York. And for any of you who are wondering what the hell a sample sale is, sample sales are events that brands usually host where they are essentially trying to get rid of their excess stock and sometimes items that are gently used. So items that they may have maybe used on their runways or for fittings. And the idea is that you attend these sample sales and you can expect to get massive discounts. I've been to a few sample sales, some of which I've documented here on this channel, but the general gist is that you attend these sample sales to try and get your hands on the best deal. The Row is a luxury clothing brand owned by Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. I'd describe their aesthetic as quiet luxury, or what we used to call it, which was basic. Okay, so their brand is founded on the idea of elevated basics. So they sell cashmere jumpers and well-tailored trousers and luxury clothing that is often described as understated, doesn't have tons of logos, has a more European classic feel to it, right? And it has grown in popularity as some people have moved more towards more conservative, old money aesthetic dressing. The idea of quiet luxury kind of peaked, I'd say maybe a year or so ago. And as the idea of quiet luxury has moved to the forefront, I think more classic dressing has always been a thing, but it became more trendy, I'd say, in the last couple of years. And as it's become more trendy, so has the Row. The interest in their brand has increased. And so they made headlines because at their sample sale, there were people who got there very, very early. So they were there in the wee hours of the morning, already lining up, and or if they were not lined up themselves, they were hiring people to stand in line for them. And quite a few of the people who attended the sample sale documented shopping at the sample sale, arriving at the sample sale, and hauled what they picked up. I don't necessarily think the sample sale would have got as much attention as it has been getting if it was just a really popular sample sale that people were lining up to get into. If you have been to a sample sale before, you'd know it's not super uncommon to arrive very early. Maybe it's uncommon to arrive as early as a few hours before, but usually when I attend sample sales, there is quite a significant line and it does take a bit of time to get inside. I think what got people talking were the hauls that followed after said shopping took place.
Guys, we just got back from the Row Sample Sale and I swear I blacked out. It was insane. Let's find out what exactly came home with me because truly I don't know. Let's start with the bags. They were all at 70% off retail. There was like a small table right when we got in, and I think there was someone who got the Margot. Unfortunately, that person was not me. I did get this like white little bucket bag. Retails $9.20 and it was 70% off. I've literally wanted these for the longest time and I found them today. They were like $300.
So the mostly ladies went shopping and then went on TikTok and were showing all the things that they bought. We're gonna go through a couple of them, right? So there's this creator called Isabel who's going through her shoe purchase.
Really beautiful, I think.
Which, I don't love the shoe. I wouldn't say it's super ugly though. It's an okay shoe, right? I'm not sure about the footbed of it. It looks a bit worn. She says she thinks it's pony hair and it was originally £1,450 and she picked it up for £362. I would say not a purchase I'd make, but in a conversation around luxury shoes, I would say that this purchase is not necessarily awful. Maybe, again, maybe not a purchase that I or maybe some other people would make, but £362 for a pair of shoes from a luxury brand, I think kind of fits, right?
For the most was my coat and also my shoes. So this year I wanted to really prioritize them. How sick are these shoes?
I actually think they look quite nice on. Then she pulls out these brown pointy shoes, which were originally $2,750 and she paid $682. Okay, and I think this is where, you know, maybe the viewers might have started to get a bit confused about, I mean, I don't know if I have it in me to call them ugly, but I think that they're ugly, right? And sometimes ugly is aesthetic. Sometimes ugly is what you're going for, right? She also has these black ones. They were originally $1,140. She paid $285, which shoes aren't great, but the price I'd say is not super bad.
Tacky, and I thought these were perfect.
The gold shoes are okay, I think.
Just so beautiful. I love how like strappy and thin they are. The second,
Love a strappy shoe.
I have to put the pants on for you because they look so sick. 1 second. I'm always in.
Okay, so she picked up these trousers or pants. They were originally £1,450 and she paid £362. I think part of the discussion around this sample sale has been around the fact that most people who have hauled things trying on items that don't look like they fit, and I think that these pants kind of come under that category. Some of the comments are around, you know, if you are going to spend this much money, why are we buying things that don't fit? Right, or are ill-fitting.
And they all fit so different. And these are just like white leg and wool.
Yeah, I don't love the fit of these pants. I think if I were to buy these pants, I'd have to take them to get tailored. And then the question is, why are we spending so much money to then go and get our items tailored? Relative to the original price, it's quite a sizable discount. She maybe saved around $1,000, but she has purchased then a pair of trousers that don't seem to fit very well. And then she also picked up a coat, which retailed for £4,990 and she paid £1,247. The coat doesn't fit too bad, but I don't know. It definitely, in my opinion, does not give $1,200.
Freaking out, so I wasn't really looking at the prices. See, this is a little.
And she talks about freaking out at the store and kind of feeling a bit of pressure. And I find that this does happen a lot at sample sales and or when you feel as though you're getting your hands on something that is scarce. And I think the Row and brands like it, like Hermes, do a pretty good job at playing this psychological game of, we are selling you something that's rare, something that has value, something that you can't get anywhere else. And so when you're put on the spot and you have to make a decision about whether you want the thing or not, it seems that those who are committed end up making a decision to pick up things. But in reality, if they went in like the shopping haze, they probably wouldn't have made that decision. I'd probably say if these pants and these jackets were on sale at Walmart, most people would probably walk past them without a second look. And so I think the conversation about the Row and what are we actually buying and why are people buying it? Is this a cult? Like, what is going on? What kind of mind control has people spending this much money on ill-fitting basic clothes? Has a lot to do with the game that the Row has actually played very, 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 very well. Okay.
I think that the brand The Row is a cult. Like, don't ask me why, don't ask me how, but I just think that the way that the girls are worshipping Mary-Kate and Ashley is giving cult. I think the brand is insane, don't get me wrong. I actually really enjoy the brand. I love the pieces and whatnot. I'm not their customer as such. I mean, I don't have the price. I don't have the budget for such. But yeah, I think it's a cult. I think the girls are worshipping the girls and more power to them for creating it. But I have watched enough cult documentaries to tell you that that brand is giving CULT. I promise you that.
Whether people are able to understand it or not, having consumers that are so committed to your brand that they are willing to spend thousands of pounds on things that are ugly and or don't fit well is quite impressive.
More than I wanted to spend. But I also don't have anything like this in my closet. It's pinstripe, can you see?
Yeah, the pinstripe jacket.
So sick, and it was in my size. It's meant to be. Last thing I got are these milk
Yeah, it's a no.
pants, pleated pants.
And the wool pants, actually, I quite like these pants. I like the color of them. They were $1,490 and they're now $372.
Let's try these on.
And they're too big for her. Again, right? So basically she has a haul of quite a few things that could fit better, and she spent a shit ton of money. Okay. So in the comments you can see people saying, but it looks cheap. Somebody says rich people's use of funds is so interesting to me, and they're doing memes. I do think people could be kinder, only because fashion's subjective, right? So what you might like, I might hate, and that's okay. I do think that there's a fair conversation around what exactly is going on, and I've seen quite a few conversations talking about, like, genuinely, is it a cult?
I just wanted to show you what I got at the rose sample sale. Look at the tailoring on the shirt. I don't know how they have the creativity to come up with these designs. I also got these flip-flops. They were on sale from $7.99 to $5.99. Blown away by these prices.
Okay, wait, all of these like satire videos of the rose sample sale, okay, my video, like the way that like I kept the tag on because of you guys, I'm just like, wait, should I keep the sweater? Cause like, is this Zara? Or you really have me second guessing my purchases, which is kind of fucked up, but also kind of nice. Like, thank you so much.
I was already convinced that the row is like a social experiment, and nothing has proved that more than seeing the recent hauls that have come from the sample sale. Like, all of these people waited in line, had tents even, and you're showing us like these pleated trousers and really, really thin sweaters that you say you got this like amazing deal on. And it's like, oh my God, they sold it for $4,000 and I got it for $1,300. Like, it's a joke. It has to be a joke.
Sometimes you can get so into something, you can end up feeling so attached to a brand that you are willing to do pretty much anything to be part of the club. And I think if we thought critically about our own lives, there are probably things that we behave that way about too, right? There are some people who are unwilling to buy any other coffee but Starbucks, okay? Or unwilling to buy any other type of soap detergent than the one that they buy, right? So I don't know, I think that there's something around human behavior or human psychology that makes us behave this way. And sometimes it takes being in it and kind of looking back at yourself. I'm sure in 6 months, after the adrenaline of being at the sample sale, posting the content has kind of gone, she's probably going to look back in her wardrobe and maybe be more considered or more critical of some of the things that she picked up. I do think that sale shopping in general has a psychological effect on people, in that you feel as though if you don't, it's now or never. Right? It's now or never. And actually brands use marketing strategies that are built around just that, right? The idea of scarcity, the idea of if I don't buy it now, I will never own it. And so being at a sample sale, the rose sample sale, there's loads of people in the store, everybody's trying to pick up something. You get your hands on something that really doesn't really fit right or whatever, but you just buy it because it's now or never kind of thing. And so I think even with sale shopping, it's always good to have some kind of strategy around, make sure you have a budget and make sure you have a clear idea of what you're willing to buy, and do not let anyone strong arm you or anything strong arm you into buying the thing if you're not sure. I actually almost got with the Takashi Murakami collection. I went shopping. I did vlog a bit of it. I went shopping and it was the last bag that they had left in Europe, and they said, but it was a display and it's expensive. And so I'm like, my rational mind would never spend, £1,000+ on a bag that has been on display and has been in the hands of thousands of people and probably has a few stains on it. But because there's this pressure of time, I kind of feel a bit like I should just buy it because it's now or never. So I think it's really important to try to not fall into that trap.
Agenda this time, there wasn't one particular item that I felt like I needed to.
There's this creator, Zoe Stewart, who's going through what she picked up.
Getting 2 different pairs of shoes.
She picked up shoes. It seems their shoes are popular.
I actually have them in white already, and I wear.
She's picked up these mesh shoes. The mesh shoes have kind of been popular for a while now. I mean, I don't love these.
Them like all summer long. I think they were originally $6.90 and I got them for.
She got them for $172. I don't
very basic
necessarily think that's an awful price, but she also picked up these flip-flops. And guys, there are so many comments of people saying, is this satire? Like, is this a joke? And in some ways, I understand it. When you're showing things that are fairly unspectacular. I think she even mentions, you know, these flip-flops are pretty basic, but, you know, I get tons of wear out of them. And so spending a couple $100 on a pair of black flip-flops that you could probably get from anywhere has quite a few people baffled about it. She also picked up some ready-to-wear. The cream trousers
These pants
are a choice.
a little bit big on me.
And they're a little bit big.
But I've had my eye on these for a while, so I was really excited to see them there. They were originally $1,500 and I got them for $350.
And she got them for $350. And the pants. Guys, the general theme for the sample sale hauls is ill-fitting and basic. That's the general thing. That's what the sample sale is giving. And so, do you know what? I actually am not sure about whether this sample sale was a good thing for the row. I think it was a good thing for them because any attention is good attention when you're a brand, right? Even if you have people talking about you in a negative way, they're still talking about you.
I don't care what it is, if you're paying $900, it better be good quality. Especially a brand as revered as The Row, a brand that so many people speak to about their high quality and how they're kind of like quiet luxury and you sort of get what you pay for. This to me is just lazy production on the brand's part, and it really bums me out because the consumer is the one that pays for it. I don't care who you are or what percentage of your income $900 turns out to be, you better be getting something good for that money. Because I feel like my jelly shoes from grade 7 would have lasted better than that. Let this be a PSA that we're all too broke to buy cheap shit, and luxury stuff can be cheap shit too.
I'm sure The Row is more known now in November 2025 out of these kind of conversations. However, one of the most integral parts of luxury branding is the idea of exclusivity, but also the idea that you are going to get something quality. And this is the reason why a lot of luxury brands are struggling now, because over time, social media has revealed some of their weaknesses, right? You've got people coming online talking about they've picked up something that's faulty, or they've picked up something that's tarnishing, or they've picked up something that was ill-fitting, you know, buttons falling off jackets in the case of Miu Miu and Wisdom K. So it's created this ongoing conversation around actually what are we actually paying for? And we will see, right? But unfortunately, I think for The Row, they have overexposed themselves in this sample sale because creators have attended the sample sale and they have shared what they've purchased. But unfortunately, some of these creators maybe aren't aware, maybe are aware that they have been, I can't think of a better word than indoctrinated, right? Sometimes, you know, like when you're a child and you maybe love Barbie, right? And anything Barbie you want. And then 10 years later, you look back and you're like, why do I have 15 Barbies in loads of different colors with loads of different outfits and a dollhouse? You know, at the time it meant so much to you, but in hindsight, you realize that it wasn't actually as important as you made it. And I think quite a lot of these shoppers have made The Row quite important to them. And whether it is what's important to them is wealth signaling, like I need to be able to show that I can afford to spend this kind of money on things that are so basic, whether it's that they just like the aesthetic, which I think it can never only really be that, because The Row's look is so doable. If you take this creator, for example, the trousers that she's picked up, you could probably pick up things that look fairly identical from any high street store. And so I think it may be that people are finding that they're aligned with the aesthetic, but I think it always has to be mixed with something else. And whether it's the idea that they think spending this amount of money will mean that they're picking up something quality, I'm sure that there's a certain cohort of customers who do feel that way. However, there have been tons of scandals around luxury quality, and is it actually more quality if they're making some of their products in the same factories in which some more affordable brands are making their clothing, or if they're exploiting workers, or if they're using Chinese workers? They're doing all of those things. Are we actually getting more quality? I think The Row is just a really good example of people wanting to wealth signal. And in more recent years, the idea of, you know, not being new money, being old money. I'm not Michaela Nogueira, right? I'm not new money. I'm Becca Bloom, right? I'm Demure. okay? I'm not flashy, I'm subtle. And so I think that there are some people who have just really bought into the idea that it is important to be a particular type of rich, which in itself I think is problematic, but it's generally accepted to critique this kind of ostentatious display of wealth if it looks a particular way, right? So if your over-the-top display of wealth looks like an old school European movie where, you know, everybody's wearing nudes and everything's tailored, then that is more palatable than if you are somebody who has loads of logos and gold and hats and sunglasses on, right? And so I think the Row have really, really, really been able to get people with that kind of branding.